Maserati. Name me a more evocative sports car than that. Go on, I dare you. Apart from Ferrari. All right, you got me there. Actually, it's funny you should say Ferrari. Because Ferrari has had control of Maserati for almost 4 years now. And you'd have to say they've done a pretty fair job of turning the company around. Last year, for example, they sold 362 cars in the UK. Not a huge number, but a very big deal indeed for a company that was struggling to shift even a handful of cars back in 1998. And how many did they sell in 1997? None. In fact, they didn't sell a single car in 1996 either. But here's the reason for Maserati's recent reversal of fortune, the 3200 GT. Following a rather wobbly launch a couple of years ago, Ferrari has skillfully developed this car into the wonderful Gran Turismo it nearly was all along. I'd love to take it for a blast right now, but I'm not going to, because there's more pressing business to attend to. Birthday business. Maserati has been around for 75 turbulent years. And as we take a look back, there are one or two things I think you should know about. Like run for the hills if you see this, the Quattroporte, the car they couldn't give away. This car summed up the miserable 90s for Maserati almost as thoroughly as the Bi-Turbo summed up the 80s. But somehow this car gave Maserati their biggest year ever. Over 6,000 cars sold worldwide in 1983. So, 20 years of hurt so far. But delve back into the 1970s and the picture gets a lot prettier. Well, sort of. A huge oil crisis brought Maserati and every other luxury car maker to their knees. But what did I care? I was just a car-obsessed kid and supercars ruled. Well, you could hardly blame me, could you? What with cars like this, Vinali designed Indy to dream about, as well as having the looks of a 70s supermodel, it sure could do a lot of damage in a game of top trumps. Maserati did the aristocratic front-engine GT thing better than anyone, except perhaps Aston Martin. But really, if it was a challenge you were after, then your sports car had to be mid-engined. And they didn't come any hairier than the Bora, Maserati's very own woolly mammoth. Now, lust is, of course, a sin. Which means that right now, you are sitting at home watching me actively sinning. But the thing is, I really want this car. The Bora is a proper early 70s supercar, powered by a slavering, gurgling V8 beast engine. There it is, located just behind me here. Its top speed is reputed to be 168 miles per hour. But even if I was allowed to try for that, I wouldn't dream of doing so because, quite frankly, this car is a monster. It's pretty intimidating inside too, to be honest. It's cramped in here. The seats don't move much, but the pedals do. Bizarre. And if I threw all the gauges and dials up in the air and just let them drop, well, they'd land more logically than they have done on this dashboard. But who cares? I mean, just look at it. It's gorgeous. And just listen to it. It's a truly biblical experience. And so to the 60s, and this, the Maserati Ghibli SS. Look, if anyone builds a prettier sports car than this, I'll eat my priceless collection of top trumps. Now, this is probably the best road car that Maserati has ever made. It outsold its more famous, more glamorous rivals like the Ferrari Daytona and the Lamborghini Miura. And underneath that bonnet is a 4.9-litre V8 engine pumping out 330 brake horsepower. It feels more like a Sunseeker yacht than a car. You come to a corner and you turn the steering wheel and really it becomes an act of blind faith. If I was to use this as my international Gran Turismo and head off down to the south of France, I'd have 4 arms the size of tree trunks by the time I got there. It's 15 foot long. There's only room for 2 people in it, but back then there was no finer way to travel. Of course, at only 10 miles per gallon, it drank petrol like it was going out of fashion, which it subsequently did. Right then, moving on. That's lovely, that car. I've got to... No. Rewinding further. Throughout the 1960s, Maserati produced a huge variety of road cars, including this, the immortal Mistral, the first in a long line to be named after a wind. And then there was this. Its awesomely elegant and aristocratic predecessor, the Sebring GTI. Now, coincidentally, this is the original British road test vehicle, and I have proof. Look, there it is, in a 1963 copy of Autocar. Which brings us right back to year zero, as far as serious Maserati road car production is concerned. 1957, the year the 3500 GT made its debut. So what exactly had they been up to until that point then? Motor racing, that's what. And rather good they were at it too. Maserati was a motor racing legend. It would take me all day to do them justice, but here's the gist. 500 outright wins, 23 championship titles, 32 Formula GP wins, and a 2-times winner of the Indianapolis 500, the only Italian company ever to win it. They remain to this day one of the world's most successful racing car constructors. Maserati's 75 years has taken the company down a longer and windier road than most. And when Alfieri, Ernesto and Bindo Maserati built their first car back in 1926, they couldn't possibly have known where or on what their lovely Trident badge would end up. But I think they would have approved, don't you? Do I get to drive it now then?